I want to inspire you to invest in services that make life easier. Moving can be stressful, but with Piece of Cake Moving and Storage, it doesn't have to be. They help me move smoothly from Brooklyn to Chicago. So if you're in the New York City area, check them out. Plus, use the code IGFamily for 10% off local moves and 5% off long distance moves. If you hate moving like I do, make it a breeze with Piece of Cake Moving and Storage. I want to welcome everyone to the first video podcast episode of Ignite and Inspire. If you don't know, my name is Summer and I'm the host of Ignite and Inspire. And we are a podcast based on the premise that we'd like to find inspiration in everyday life. Life is hard and it's very easy to go through the day-to-day living in the mundane.
Yes.
So this is a dedication to myself, to you all, to find inspiration so that we can have the creativity to be our best selves and excel and do all the things that we want to do.
All the things.
Welcome back to Ignite and Inspire, a podcast that provides valuable information to ignite your passions, overcome challenges, and lead more fulfilling and impactful lives. I'm your host, Summer Van, and before we get into today's episode, I want to go over a few housekeeping items. First, go ahead and subscribe to the show so you can stay up to date on future episode drops. Next, don't forget to leave a rating and review. You can scroll down and leave a star rating between 1 and 5 stars. You can also leave a comment to let me know what you've captured from today's episode. Lastly, you can find any additional resources or key takeaways in the show notes below. Sparking inspiration is something that you have to be intentional about, so give yourself props for tuning in and capturing a bit of inspo. Let's get into it.
Shall we?
I want to introduce one of my dearest friends, Ary. Ary, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. I'm Ary, Ariana, all the Arys. Let me see. We go back to Howard. And I am now a makeup artist, live in Los Angeles, California, model, actress, and just a girl. I'm just a girl.
She's so much more than just a girl. Y'all, for context, I met Ary my freshman year in college. We went to Howard University. And everyone knows, going to school, especially out of state, it's a little intimidating.
Absolutely.
It can be a little scary.
Yeah.
And Ary's from California. I'm a Southern girl from Atlanta.
Right.
And she lived on a floor below me. Yeah. We were in Fraser Hall at the Quad. If you went to Howard, you know.
QUAD.
And I was just I was kind of intimidated by you. I was like, oh my gosh, like she's such a boss babe. She knows how to she's a DIY queen.
Yes.
She does it herself. And I think, especially for context, this is also my first time in LA. And so I kind of see some of where she may have gotten this from. But if there was something that she wanted, she just went and did it.
Yes.
If there was like a food that she wanted, if she couldn't make it herself, she'd just go and get it. If there were a new activity she wanted to try, she just did it. And I'm a little anxious girly. I'm a little timid, even if that doesn't show.
Yeah.
And I was so inspired by Ary, which is why she's here. And so I'm extremely excited to be speaking with you. And then I think the other thing too that really drove our relationship, at least on my end, being away from home.
Yes.
You meet a lot of people.
It's scary.
You meet a lot of people that are different.
Girl.
And I felt very similar spirit and nature in Ary, religiously, familially, family-wise. And even though she's from Cali, it felt like home. So that was really important. And I think that's what drives our relationship and our ability to connect even after 4 years.
Yes.
So thank you for inspiring me and just being present. Thank God. I'm excited to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Because I can say the same exact thing. Like, And you were unlocking so many memories that were in the back of my throat. Like, huh? Because, wow.
She was our fourth roommate, y'all.
Literally. And I remember, like, I just remember summer. She was like prancing through the yard, getting it done. She was that girl, hair flip, hair flip. But what I appreciated is you were just so kind. And you reminded me of home as well. And it's like, wow, we can get to it, but we can also talk about, like, did you just see that show? You know, like just girly things, fun things, deep conversations, and in moments where, you know, being far away from home, I was just like, wow, it's so cold out here. You know, just simple things like that.
It's cold.
We were just able to relate and just comfort each other in those times. And for that, thank you. Honestly, you were such a friend. You are such a friend. But it was just really awesome to share that experience with you.
No, totally agree.
Yes.
So let's get into it. Tell me a little bit about, paint a picture about what you do. What is Ary's day-to-day?
So it's so hard to explain my day-to-day because it changes every single day.
Yeah.
So first I take it from a scope of a month, and then a week, and then a day. Professionally, I am an actress, model, and makeup artist, and an entrepreneur. I own a business. And because all those things are integrated and they all have lanes of their own, sometimes one can overtake one for 1 month or vice versa. So, you know, from a month scope, I plan my schedule around the major events and family. I'm big on work-life balance. Family and social events. Like, if my friends are in town, I'm like, okay, this day we're blocking this out. I'm not taking any calls, not doing any appointments, none of that, because I need some time with my people. But yeah, so it can change from day to day. I still technically work in retail, which I tell myself I'm never working in retail again. But ironically, it's just something I can't shake loose because, I've still got to get the money, you know, it's still got to pay the bills. And then, you know, taking gigs, and whether it's with makeup or acting or modeling, and just everything in between. So my day-to-day can change, but my morning routine is pretty consistent. Like, I make sure no matter what, I'm going to make up my bed. I'm going to drink water as soon as I wake up. I'm going to take those supplements. Because I found for me, that's what keeps me anchored. That's what keeps me balanced. Like, I'm going to pray. I'm going to write in my journal if I'm overwhelmed. You know, I'm going to do those specific things that can give me some type of familiarity. Because if I don't, I just feel all over the place. Like, but thank God I still write a calendar out on my wall. I have a handwritten. Google Calendar just can't do it for me. My phone is blowing up all the time. So that's how I pretty much keep track of everything, essentially.
Y'all, she's been doing that since I've known her.
Which really since middle school.
Yeah.
Honestly, color-coded.
I'm glad that still works. I can't relate, but
for real.
I can't relate. I feel like every 2 months I'm like, I need something new. I need to switch it up.
I need to do something else.
Yeah. No, that's so real. I'm jealous.
Try it out. Trust. It works.
So it's interesting because for those that don't know, and I don't know if I knew this when I first met you, but you started out in School of Communications.
Yeah, SOC.
So what's T? What's the gag?
Girl, let's get into it. So from middle school to high school, I was in performing arts. And I went to performing arts high school. And I was like, you know what? At first, you know, freshman, sophomore year, I'm going to Juilliard, I'm going to NYC. Like, I had my plan, you know, and again, throughout my whole career in my life, I always have my plan, and God just kikis every single time, like every single time. And so my friend at the time, you know, I was telling her, I really want to do something different because I feel like I've just been doing the same thing for, at that point, like 7, almost 10 years. And, you know, I have the education and I have the background, but I just want to do something different. And I used to say I wanted to get paid for being myself. So to me, that meant a personality or, you know, a host or something like that. Okay. And so that translates logically to going to School of C. So I was like, okay, this logically sounds like the path that I need to be taking. And that's what I did. And I was enrolled in, the real tea is I didn't get my acceptance letters till August. But we're going to talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah, Howard girl. Yeah. But so went to school at sea, and I just felt like something's wrong here. You know, I went to orientation and it was great. Like what they had to offer the curriculum, it was great. You know, I was like, something's wrong.
You wanted to be in the suits like us.
I just wanted to be SOB Money Gang.
No, y'all.
I wanted to get to the bag, like Money Gang. How did you know? Yes. And so, you know, she was like, well, here's a question for you. If you're here, will you be thinking about them? I was like, yes. And she's like, but if you're there, will you be thinking about them? I was like, no. And so she said, that's how you know where you're supposed to be. Because if you're in the acting classes and you're in these courses, are you going to be thinking about what you're missing in SOC? And I was like, I'm not going to be thinking about it. You know, it's not going to keep me up at night. But I do know that, you know, I could take a couple of classes, and we still are very like integrated as both schools. We work together on a lot of projects. So I knew we were going to cross paths. So then I auditioned on the last day. I was the last person to audition. Wow. And they said, oh, bet. And classes started the next week. And I was like, oh, hey, Mom, by the way, change majors. And it was meant to be. But what was beautiful because of that, you know, housing was according to majors. Yeah. So I was still around SOC students, and I was still always exposed to that. And they were always exposed to what we were doing. So it totally worked out. And that's why a lot of my beginning friends were in SOC. Pretty much.
That's tea. I never really knew that. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. I feel like I need to take out my journal and take some notes, because you just read me for filth.
Oh.
For context, so senior year of high school, I was heavily involved in my school's journalism staff, and we called it Convergence Media, because instead of just focusing on like magazine or newspaper, our instructor wanted us to understand not only those individual mediums, but how they were used together to tell stories. Right. So that was the assignment. It wasn't like, oh, just learn how to put on a broadcast television show. No, it was learn how to tell a multimedia story and amplify. Yeah. But my mom was like, this is cute and all, but you need to pay the bill. Like, do you remember 2008?
We can get into that too.
You know, like, do you remember 2008?
Do you remember?
Do you want to?
You was 9.
You know what I mean? Do you remember?
For real.
And I'm like, well, shoot, you're right. Like, college is expensive. But I need to find like a happy medium somewhere down the line. And I ended up being the senior editor of our social media like department, pillar or whatever. And I loved it. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I was attracted. I got that little dopamine hit seeing the numbers improve, because we were actually like putting some emphasis on it. Right. And I was, you know, on what is the like site called where you apply for school, college, something. I don't remember. But like it was like one of those sites. It was a drop down of like, do you want, like, what do you want your major to be? And I toggled between journalism, marketing, back and forth. And at the last minute, I had my whole application complete. I went back and was like, oh, okay, marketing.
Ooh, because you always know.
Do I regret it?
No.
However, now I'm looking back to your point of like, if you go over here, would you think about X? And vice versa. I'm like, what if? I'm living, no regrets. No regrets. Thank you, God, for the path that you had me on. But I am now like, what if I had just went school of C?
Exactly.
And had a little concentration in business. I don't know.
And the truth is, you can still end up where you are now, just with different skill sets, different resources, a different avenue. Yeah. And
it may take me a little longer.
It may take you a little longer, but it's still right on time. Yeah. You know, every single time. And the truth is, kind of speaking to your mom, because I have a mom who's very vocal as well. And we two peas in the pods, but we butt heads all the time. Yeah. And we just laugh about it. Yeah. But she, you know, sometimes she was like, are you sure? Because we used to go back and forth. She thought I was going to a different school. And I was like, I'm telling you right now, because you're like, how do you just do it? Well, she taught me. She said, wow. She always said, if you want to do something, do it. I mean, what's the problem? And so we were going back and forth my entire senior year of high school. And I said, I'm going to Howard. She said, no, you're not. And I said, bet.
That's crazy.
Bet. And even to this day, she was like, you know what? You knew what decision you had to make for yourself. And I'm proud that you were able to make that decision, even if it was like, seemed like it was against all odds. Like, I'm proud of the decision you made because God wasn't showing me what he was showing you at the time. And I was just like, yeah, girl, I mean, I tried to tell you, but I didn't say it like that, of course.
I tried to tell you. Truly.
But yes, yeah.
Wow. That's huge. And like, even, because for me, that's like a 600-mile little hop in the car. For you, that's a
2 G's
journey across the country.
For real.
We're voyaging.
5.5-hour flight.
And for you to have gotten your acceptance in August. And I remember I moved in on my birthday.
Man.
We started started school a week later. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to God, man.
No, for real. Because, and I don't know why I didn't have any doubt. Like, I feel like even 18-year-old Ary could teach 25-year-old Ary something. I was like, yeah, I know I'm going. I was not tripping. I was having the best summer of my life. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. You know, like, I don't know how, but I'll be there. And that's the confidence that I'm still trying to hold on to and learning every single day. That's that confidence that you just gotta, like, you take it in and you hold on to it.
Yeah. I actually don't remember an 18, 19-year-old Ary with doubt. Like, y'all, she used to be walking around the yard. She used to have these like twists and they would just sway. And my roommate, Mike, and I, we would just be like, oh my gosh. Like, how do we used to talk in the room like, y'all, how do we get like Ary?
Girl.
Like, where do we get the confidence from? We used to be on the phone with our parents empty. Like, how do we do it?
No. Like, let me tell you how. Empty out your brain. Think of nothing. Because I was thinking of not a dang thing.
Thoughts.
Like, la, 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 la.
We had too many thoughts. You had no thoughts. Empty okay. Brain. All right.
Literally. Yeah.
That's crazy. So even amongst, because even post-grad, you made a couple pivots.
Oh, yeah.
You made a couple pivots.
Girl, the pivots made me.
T, clock them.
Girl. Okay. I was like, COVID. Moment of silence for that girl. The baddest bitch in the room. Woo! COVID did a number on me. COVID did a number. I mean, I had some big life changes. Some big changes. You know, experienced a lot of loss. Experienced just like, girl, I like, oh my gosh, God, I am not your strongest warrior. Choose somebody else. And through that, there was so many moments of like, just authentic, just like heaviness and tiredness. And it's like, I can't do anything else but to lean on God because I am done for, you know, and because also with COVID, you know, there was a strike and there was a shutdown in the industry that thought I was going into very in a steadfast way. And honestly, before I went to Howard, I was approached by someone who wanted to manage me. But I was like, I really want to go to school. And she was like, I think you should because this industry is always going to be here. And I even wondered, what if I stayed and pursued that? But there would be so much of my life that had such an impact on me and made me who I am today that needed to happen. But the pivots, it was just like, I'm at home, I'm in my house, and because I live in LA and I go to school in DC, my class is at 5:30 and 6:30 and I have nothing else to do for the rest of the day, you know, other than the homework. But I made it so that I was only taking 12 credits, like my final semester. So I was thinking ahead, which ended up working out. And I needed something to do. So I started to do my makeup. And I just remember, like, you know, I always love YouTube. I always watched hours and hours of makeup and, you know, concerts. And I was always watching YouTube. And just like, I didn't realize what I was learning then. It was just an escape for me because it was just so cool and seeing the beauty gurus and learning all these tips. And I was like, wow, like, that's awesome. And I didn't realize that that was the basis of what was going to happen. Like, you know, I had a dream like, oh, one day I'll have my own YouTube channel and one day I'll do X, Y, and Z. But when I started to put into practice and I was, you know, posting those pictures on Instagram, just because I'm like, you know what, the world's ending, why not? And people were like, do you do makeup? And I was like, ooh, girl, no. Makeup with other people? No. Like, I was so intimidated about the idea of doing makeup on anybody else.
Yeah.
I was so intimidated because I would be starting from scratch. And with acting, I started it when I was young. And I have all these tools, and I have these boxes of resources and people. And, you know, for me, it was like, okay, you know, when you take a class for the first time and you know you're bad at it, and it's like, well, that's the only way to start, you know, just trying and putting myself out there. So that was something that I was okay at, and I had to learn to be okay, be mediocre, and learn and start from the back of the room and work my way up with learning. And my best friend, he was like, I don't know, why don't you just try it? You know, just see what happens. Just try it on someone else. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I did it. And here we are only, 3 years later. Wow. I can't make it up. Like, I never thought this is the direction it was going to take me in.
Yeah.
So the pivots, it was like either this or you better make a choice. And the other decision didn't give
sense. Yeah.
It didn't give anything. It didn't make sense. And you know, sometimes you make choices out of desperation because you're like, I need some money, or I need to do this, and people in your ear like, oh yeah, finally you need to do this job, and you need to do that, and so many voices telling you, oh yeah, remember you have a little interest in that, go ahead and take that on. I'm like, but I don't like that. You know, I don't want to do that. That's not the life I've ever wanted for myself. But there was points where I was like, maybe they're right. Maybe I should have studied something else. You know, maybe I should have done something else. Maybe I should have put the paintbrushes down and stopped trying to be some frilly artist. And I had those moments of like, what did I do? And all I could do is pray and just, you know, pray and surround myself with people who were beyond where I was. And I was just in those moments, like kind of how you and Micah had, I was like, dang, how does she do that? You know, so just looking and learning and talking and being vulnerable and saying, I don't know what I'm doing. What would you do if you were me? And just kind of taking survey and saying, okay, I'll take that one. I'll take that one. And, you know, they were open. Most people, I feel like most people who are passionate about what they do, they want to help. They want to encourage. They want to say, you can do this. And so I was just going to those resources. And it wasn't necessarily in makeup. I thought I was going to go get a degree in marketing. I thought I was going to go back to school. And I'm still open to going back to school. But I was about to pivot the other way real hard. And it just kept choosing me. So when I finally started to choose it just started to roll out. Pretty much.
Wow. So I think you said a couple of like interesting points. One, kind of the dichotomy, I don't know if that's the right word, the conflict between a younger Ary and her ability to just do versus an older Ary who now runs through the pros, the cons, the what ifs, the doubts, all the things, and that moment of like desperation being the final straw of like, all right, well, our back is against the wall. Our back's against the wall.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, because that was a real is less something where I struggle with, because I still take notes out of 18-year-old Ary's book and 25-year-old Ary. Like they work together now very well. Okay. And they complement each other.
Besties. Okay.
They are. And what I guess what I had to do is I looked at people who were further along in their career, whether they were celebrities or makeup artists, or even just the, you know, someone who works in the professional world and just enjoys their life. You know, maybe they're not famous, but they enjoy their life. And what I just took from each and every one of them, there was a point in their story where it was either I'm going to keep on doing this or I'm going to fold. And it happens continuously. But there was a big moment that was the canon event. And I was like, oh, this is my moment. This is my moment where I have to choose. Am I going to fold or am I going to stand 10 toes in what I'm doing against, and I mean all odds. And you know, I my older sister, she always believes in me, and my brother-in-law, and they always say like, you, whatever decision you make, we gonna rock with it. You know, we have our opinion, we'll keep it to ourselves. But we gonna rock with it.
All you can do is say thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Now light it up. And so yes, yeah, and just making those decisions every day. Are you going to fold? And nothing is a waste of time. You know, even when you think nothing is happening, everything is happening all the time. Like, you don't know until it's in retrospect, of course. But nothing is a waste of time. Even if you are bed rotting, nothing is a waste of time. That moment meant something to me for who I am today, because I know I don't ever want to be as low as I was then. You know, you're learning all the time. Or the high moments, you say, oh, I hope to be able to experience something as awesome as that again. And just accepting. That's what it was. Accepting that maybe I'm not going to do what I thought I was going to do. At least not right now.
I want to inspire you to invest in services that'll make your life easier. Life is full of transitions, which can be stressful. Moving is one of those big ones, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming, especially with Piece of Cake Moving and Storage. Piece of Cake Moving helped me make a smooth transition from Brooklyn to Chicago. If you're in the NYC area looking to move, check them out. And to make it even easier, they're running a promotion that'll give you 10% off your short distance move and 5% off your long distance move with the code IGFamily. That's IGFAMILY. If you're like me and absolutely despise moving, don't even stress yourself out. Make it a breeze with Piece of Cake Moving and Storage. That's real. So circling back a little bit, can we talk about how you feel like going to an HBCU prepared you, set you up for the Ary you are today, for the things that Ary does in her day-to-day?
Yes. Well, first of all, heavy on the pros first. The community that we just kind of touched on, but the community that you develop on that campus, any HBCU campus that you're on, the community and the friends that I made, the connections I made from all over the world, in people making me feel like I can genuinely do anything I want, including professors. You know, there's professors that would stand out, administration, people who worked in the cafeteria that they took me in as their daughter, you know, or as their little cousin, and pouring into me saying, you can do whatever you want. You can absolutely, I think I'm going to do something, and I shoot off an idea. I think I'm going to, okay, well, how do we start? Really? Yeah. And you can put it up and somebody will come and support you on the yard or in the valley, and they'll come watch your fashion show. You know, like those moments of saying, you know, at the end of the day, I have a group of people who are actually rooting for me and who I'm rooting for. And we actually want to see each other win. And we are genuinely iron sharpening iron. That's what it was. And also, because it was HBCU, dealing with challenges and knowing administration and knowing, listen, it got to get done. And I'm not leaving here until it's finished. So either you going to do it or I'm going to do it. Let's figure it out in a peaceful manner. And having that tenacity and having that audacity as well, like, well, what's up? We gonna do it? We gonna get it done? Or what's up? What we gonna do? Those tools can be carried into any space that you're in, because you learn how to be independent. You learn how to be, I've been in so many uncomfortable places since graduation, and going into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. I hope they're nice. You know, I hope I don't say anything crazy. But you can be in any space and plant roots and thrive. And that's what I learned most from our experience. Truly, there's always a place to go back and get some love and go back out into the world.
So do you think they're worth it? Like, especially all that's happening politically, all the conversation about what should be discussed in school and academic settings, what shouldn't. Do you think there's still value in place for HBCUs?
Absolutely. Because oftentimes, I know this can be to my experience because I am a Black woman, but Black youth are usually pushing the envelope, and youth of color usually are having those hard conversations first. And whether it's on social media or Black Twitter or TikTok or wherever, absolutely. Because when you're there, you realize, okay, everything I learned before here has been given to me, whether it's my beliefs or what I like, what I don't like. And you learn what you like. You learn your voice. And I feel like that's a safe space to develop it as well. Or at least it should be. HBCUs. It should be a safe space to develop your voice. And I absolutely think they're worth it. Period.
Enough said. Mic drop. Period. Okay, so I'm completely shifting gears here.
Yeah. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom. Sharp turn. Please make sure you have your seatbelts on. Let's talk about ADHD.
Let's talk about
the most ADHD transition ever.
Let's talk about ADHD.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real.
Shout out to the Neurospicy. What does having ADHD mean to you?
Ooh.
This is what it means.
Wow. Oh, what does it mean to me? Well, first off, I was officially diagnosed this year as a 24-year-old at the time. And a friend of mine who also had recently been diagnosed, she's like, do you think you have, we were having this conversation and she was asking me like, what are my next steps in careers? And I kept going. I couldn't stop talking. And really, I couldn't stop talking because I was so uncomfortable that I didn't have an answer for her. So I kept going, which is the opposite of what you should do. But she was like, have you ever wanted to get tested? It's like, actually, now that you mentioned that, I had a dream. Actually, yeah, I have. Now that you mentioned that. And so, honestly, when I was officially diagnosed, it doesn't feel like it was news to me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I was just waiting for confirmation. Yeah. And I don't remember the scientific terms, but I know mine's is more internal.
Yeah.
And it's my thoughts and it's the anxiety. And I'm so great at having a shield and like just covering and masking. People have no clue. And I be about to crash out, truly. But what it means to me is, I guess it was the validation that I needed, that nothing's wrong with me. I'm just a little different. And again, it wasn't, I feel like in different spaces growing up from, grade school and elementary and all that, different spaces, I definitely assimilated. So the way it showed up was talks a lot in class, or can't sit still, or, a lot of my friends, and I would get along with like the older staff, and they're like asking me for relationship advice, and I'm like 10, and she's like, she's very intelligent, but like there's still, the youthfulness about her. And I just carried it throughout life. And now what it means is learning how to make my life a little easier. It was hard for me to tell everyone around me because I just could not. I took it seriously, but I didn't know how to say it to them in a serious manner. Like, we're at dinner. Oh, yeah. Oh, I have ADHD. Just wanted to tell you
BT
that.
does.
By the way, did you want tacos? And it's like, oh my gosh. But also still wanting them to be like, are you good?
Yeah.
But I'm like, it took me a minute to chew on it and be like, what does it mean for me to have ADHD? Like, what does that even mean for real?
Yeah.
So educating myself on it and wishing that I knew a little sooner, especially in school, wishing that I knew, because I wouldn't have been so hard on myself sometime.
Yeah.
And the standard that you hold yourself to, especially for me, like something that I do is I am a perfectionist and I overdo things, and I, the standard that I'm holding myself up to, it's like I'm comparing myself to someone who's been in the game for X amount of years or who knows this. Like, of course, that's a doctor. Of course, she's going to know that, so just learning and educating myself was the first step, because I had no clue what it meant for that, especially in a woman or in a girl. What does that mean? Because we hear about it with boys, with men all the time. But what does it mean? What does it look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so real. I had a very similar experience, except for I also have high anxiety.
Yes. Woo-hoo! A little
just a little anxiety, a little whipped cream on top of that thing. But I think it helped mask my ADHD. And again, I'm no scientist, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. Check my notes if we really want to get into it. But in layman's terms, how I function is I stress out. Like, let's just take any random task. I stress out. I overthink about the task. I'm driving myself crazy about the task, so much so that I procrastinate the task. Then in the final hour, my anxiety kicks back in and is like, all right, let's knock this out. But now I'm exhausted. I'm burnt. Have I even retained what I just did? I don't know. And I, for so long, probably up until college, found a way to make that work. However, graduating and starting my full time,
that'll do it.
It truly unmasked some things. So I was able to skate through a lot of my life undiagnosed. And similarly, I think maybe about a year and a half ago, I started thinking about it. I started reading on it, looking at videos. I talked to a couple of friends who also had ADHD, and their response was like, look, if you feel like you have it, just go ahead and start adopting the habits and the devices to help,
absolutely,
support yourself.
Great advice.
So I did that. I was like, you know what? Cool. I'm going to go gluten-free. I'm going to figure out this whole organization thing. I'm going to start setting boundaries in life. I'm still working on that one.
Yikes! That's the one.
A couple boundaries or two.
It's getting hot in here.
It is a little toasty. I just started doing those things, but I believe it was one review at work, and the feedback came a little harsher. And for those that know, if you have ADHD, sometimes one of the indicators is like how receptive you are to feedback and how you internalize feedback. And I internalize feedback very well.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, one thing that I've never had an issue with is like requesting feedback, maybe a little more than I need to, and going overboard trying to apply it.
Right.
And there was one good time at work. I got some feedback, and it was a straw to break the camel's back, because I'm like, this is my livelihood. This is how I eat, breathe, sleep. And I decided to go ahead and get tested. And I'm so glad that I did, because to your point, like, it just helps put a name to how I've been feeling, to how I operate. And now I can just approach life in a way that works for me and not feel guilty about it, instead of maybe doing some things that work for me and feeling like, oh my gosh, these people around me are gonna think I'm crazy. Like, oh my gosh,
literally.
But it's a process. It's a day-by-day thing, and it also has made me a little bit more sensitive to maybe some of the words that I say and kind of how I express myself and my feelings. Because, I don't know if you've been in situations, especially now that you are navigating, where people are like, yep, sorry, my ADHD is jumping. I'm like, girl, you don't even know the have. It's the ADHD in the room with us. Or
And it's like, then I was like, oh wait, when did you get diagnosed? I got diagnosed.
Oh, you call them out.
I'm not. And it's like also because they can also not know that they have ADHD.
That's probably true.
They cannot know. But then also, what if you just don't and you just are not like? What if you just didn't eat that one? What if it was just that? You know.
Ouch.
And we all sometimes we just don't eat it. You know.
That's
sometimes
so
we
real.
Just don't give.
That's real.
Yeah. And you said something, and you were like, basically, you take. First of all, I didn't know that feedback, and truthfully, so on brand.
Yeah.
So on brand. And it was hard for me to accept that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what do you mean? Like, directors give me notes all the time. But it's a permitted space. So it's okay to me. Versus I'm going back and forth. And it's like, well, why are you telling me that? Because that's not what I tried to do. And you know that. But it's like, girl, relax. Take the feedback and shut up. You know?
That's
like
real.
Sometimes you just need to, it's okay. They have feelings. I acknowledge your feelings. You're acknowledging mine. And sometimes we have to be told it's not the end of the world. I still love you. We're okay. We can go on about our day. But you did say something, and you say you overly apply it to yourself. Do you also feel like you sometimes need the validation to say, oh, great job, I saw that you applied that? Do you feel like you need that affirmation? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like, okay. I did this amazing thing. Why didn't, like, say something?
Do you not recognize that?
Did you? Because I'm gonna bring it back up. Like, I did this thing for.
I'm not sure if you know this, but
yeah, I'm definitely a words of affirmation girly. Yeah, I need the validation.
And I have like no shame, like, because also I need to know that I'm doing it the right way. Yeah. Like, I changed it. Did I do it right this time, or is this going to happen again? Acknowledge
the correction.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
The more you know.
Unpacking. So if you feel like you have it, get tested. Yes. I definitely recommend. There are like 7 different types of ADHD, and you may have one of the 7 or multiple.
Okay.
It's possible.
It's possible.
How has like the experience of being in the world, and kind of, I think you talked about it a little bit, but like, now that you know that you have ADHD, and now that you're like taking different steps to readjust your life and make life work for you, how has it been navigating the people around you, the people closest to you, to say like, hey, I didn't have this boundary before, but I need it now.
I need it.
Or, hey, like, I'd rather us not go to this restaurant because there are not enough gluten-free options than I would prefer. Or, you know, like, hi, I'd appreciate you communicating this way because my brain can't take
not
it.
Giving.
Please don't text me past 10 p.m. because my brain needs to shut down.
I simply won't answer. I simply will not answer. No, I feel like for starters, first, it seemed like they didn't think I was being for real. Like, I don't think they believed me.
Yeah. And
I think because it just seemed like another, just like, oh, cool personality trait. This is actually about to change everything.
It's a personality trait.
Yeah, and it's like, first they had to be like, oh, and then they saw me trying different, whether it was medication or different just tools, and they saw me, because once I find something out, I overindulge the information. I'm looking at YouTube, I'm reading articles, I'm on TikTok, like,
I'm like,
okay, she's
myself.
Really inhaling this information. I gotta fix it. But it's still taking time, because it was at the beginning of the year. I think what it is, and the reason why I have more grace, especially to my immediate, family, friends, coworkers, we have these discussions all the time, interestingly enough. And so I feel like they were more understanding. But
that's tea.
Yeah. But also what it is the lack of education too. And so while I'm learning, I just convey the information, and we live with it, so we can keep it at the front of our minds, but it's new to them. And so I can definitely extend grace, just as I did to myself, to them, like, okay, let's just learn and let's just figure this out together. But also, if I told you something, okay, I can't keep on telling you, because now I just feel like you don't care. And if you cared, you would have done something different. Like, that's me in my head. But outside, I'm just like, okay, bet, So just having those conversations, really sitting down, being an adult about it, really having just like heart to heart and saying, hey, I know we've been doing this for this long, but I'm realizing the reason why I always react to that is because every time we do that, I'm overstimulated. And I didn't know that's what that was. That's why I hate that. And that's why it goes, my nickname is Tootie. So I've always been called Attitudinal Tootie. And especially in Black women, it's like, why does she have an attitude? Why did it? Girl, I can't even think straight. I don't even know what's going on. And you keep on asking me the same question. I don't know. Seriously. I can't think straight. It's not just an attitude. It's just like, I don't like, and you kind of freeze up. Yeah. And so it comes across as frustration or anger or just sassy. And it's like, no, babe. Like, also me having to learn the diction and the vocabulary to say, hey, I'm not mad, but I need to breathe for 2 seconds. And I might call you back in 1.5 seconds because I might be okay by then. But I just need back up. I'm about to blow, back up. So still learning, honestly. I don't think we're there yet, but
yeah, that is so real. It's funny because I was talking to my parents about it around the time that I did get diagnosed. And, when you first get diagnosed, it's like your world is just like, whoa, that's what I felt at 8 years old. I used to like tell my mom it feels like there's a ball bouncing in my head, but I didn't know how to articulate my feelings. And she was like trying to understand what I meant. She was like, do we need to go to the doctor? Like what? But I couldn't tell her like, no, my head doesn't hurt. It's just,
my brain hurts.
My brain is like, there's just a lot going on.
Yeah. At 8.
You know what I mean? I'm like, there's just a lot going on. And now
I can't.
Like, she definitely used to be like, is this girl on the spectrum?
Is not good.
Is this girl okay?
Is she okay? Like,
but it's just like, wow, I'm thankful to God that I know now at 24, 25, but I feel so bad for 7, 8, 9, 10, shoot, 13, 14, going through
18,
puberty.
19, like making hard decisions. Yeah. You know what I mean? Girl, puberty, like, ew. I deleted all those pictures.
It's just a lot.
That girl.
It's just a lot.
And it was such an out of body experience for me because, okay, I'm 6'2", and truthfully, I've been tall my whole life. Yeah. So knowing something's a little different in the way I process emotions, the way I process information. Like, yeah, I'm one of the smartest in my class, but also like sometimes I feel like I just don't understand what you just said, or sometimes I'm like, give me a second because I don't know what I'm feeling right now. Are you mad at me? I have no clue. Let me take a beat. Actually, I'm embarrassed about blah, blah, blah. I'm not just mad. I'm not always upset. I'm not just always frustrated. No, I feel betrayed. I feel these things. And honestly, acting helped me with being able to identify my emotions a little bit more because I've always had a like, oh, everything's okay, la 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 la, or just the exact opposite, like, let's shut it down, so
one or the other.
Exactly. Being able to really go in and feel and have words for them and be able to communicate, which has been something I've been heavily trying to learn and grow in, that whether it's with family or friends, or I don't deal with conflict the best. And it's not that I avoid it because I'm scared. I avoid it because I'm going to say something that I don't actually mean, and it's going to be very rude. And that's not what I want to say to you. I'm only saying this because my feelings are so hurt right now, and I don't know how to say that. So let's text. Like, let me write a letter, like, let me write it down first. Let me write up what I'm saying, and then let's meet each other. And then I can read it to you because when it's not laced with the emotion and the heightened, just feels, I can get to the point of what I'm actually trying to say. That's what I've learned the most too. But
that's real.
Girl.
It's a journey.
It's tea. So
be patient with us.
Yes, be patient, please.
One we're approaching time, but I want my last and final question. What do you hope that people gain from this episode? What do you want to inspire people to do? What are you hoping that people take away? Or if it's multiple things.
It's all the things.
The whole episode.
But most what I want people to gain and to really internalize is through this journey, the encouragement is not really needed when you're at the top. It's needed on those mundane days where you got to go to the car wash and you go to the beach just to clear your mind, and you want to get this food but you don't have enough money to pay for it, or like when you are down, that's when you need those moments of, can we just sit together in a room because I'm feeling like such a failure right now. And I know that that's not how I feel overall in my life, but that's how I feel right now. And in those moments is where you really have to remember what you're doing and why you're doing it. And even if you don't have a goal, because truthfully, I haven't had a goal in a while. And as someone who has always been goal oriented and timeline and this, it has been hard to not have a goal and sometimes a vision of what's going on. And that has what has discouraged me the most in the past. But truly remembering I'm walking, I might not know where I'm going, but I know I'm doing what's right. And I know the only way to find out is if I keep going. Even if everyone around me is telling me that's not the best idea. To you. But to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might be like, maybe it's not the best idea, but I can't fold now. And also just kind of like a side tidbit, don't be afraid to like take jobs that may not feel like, oh, this is not where I'm supposed to be right now. Don't have shame around your journey. Don't be so prideful that you miss your blessing, because there's been so many opportunities that's come in moments where I did not expect that to happen because of where I was, and opportunities that you think you have to be in a certain place or around certain people or at certain parties, or girl, a lot of times that was happening in the grocery store or just at work. And when I was in retail, you don't think that's going to happen in these places. But as long as you are approaching it with as positive as you can be for that day mindset, and saying, listen, I don't know where, but I'm on my way. That's all you need. That's all you need. Just that belief in yourself, in God, of course, because sometimes your whole world comes crashing down. And that is the only consistent thing. And it has been for me. So that's the biggest advice I can give. Absolutely.
That is, no words. No words at all. Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where can people find you, follow you?
Oh my gosh, I've always wanted this moment. Well, my personal social tags are at Ary Lux, and that's ARY, Ary with the Y. That's me. Ary Lux, ARYLUXE _, on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm trying to get into shorts, but one day at a time. But my business page for booking makeup artistry is going to be Ary Lux Beats. So the same thing, ARYLUXE BEATS _. In Los Angeles. I'm an Atlanta girl.
Period. Wow. Thank you so much, Ary.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty. That will close out today's episodes. Be sure to follow, subscribe on all platforms. You can follow the Instagram at Ignite and Inspire Podcasts and find more episodes on all your favorite streaming services. With that being said, bye everyone.
Tune in. Bye y'all.